Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Michael Haynes with us. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Awesome. So, for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Michael Haynes. I'm a business growth go-to-market specialist. So I specialize in working with small and medium B2B accounting firms, CFO advisory firms, and B2B technology companies on developing their holistic, cross-functional business growth go-to-market strategies to drive new market entry, client acquisition, client retention, and overall business growth. Based here in Sydney, Australia, and I work with clients globally around the world with a strong focus around Australia, Canada, United States, and Singapore.
Okay, so I'm curious, what inspired you to start, listen, innovate, grow?
What inspired me? Great question. So prior to setting up my own consulting business, which I've now have for 14 years, I guess, and counting. I was working in corporate. And so I've worked in a variety of corporate roles across business strategy, marketing, customer research. In many cases, working with large corporate organizations, helping them to deliver to the needs of small and medium businesses. And about 15 plus years ago, I decided I wanted to set up my own shop and take what I've learned working in large corporate and work with who I really enjoy working with, that being small and medium businesses, because I do come from a family of entrepreneurs.
So, as a consultant, who do you help SMEs achieve B2B growth, and what are the most common mistake you see small businesses make when trying to scale?
So, there's a great question. Number of areas to unpack there. One of the biggest things I find is that often companies they have aspirations to grow. For example, going into new markets, but they do not have enough in-depth understanding, what I call listening, getting in-depth understanding with respect to the industries and the geographic markets that they're looking to enter, as well as having a deep understanding at that client level, at that buyer level. Because in B2B, you need to have understanding on those three levels in terms of the industries you're going after, the geographic markets in which you're going to be serving, and having an understanding of the buyers or the decision makers, who they are, what are their priorities, and how do they make their buying decisions. And it's particularly with the latter, in terms of having that depth of understanding around the B2B buyer, that I find many organizations do not have sufficient understanding of.
Okay. So I'm curious, just before the call, I had conversation with my sister, and she's deciding to starting her own company, and she'll be thinking about uh services. It's like GMT, something like that. GMC or GMT. Do you know that?
GMT. I don't know what.
Yeah. I guess some kind of Google Analytics. I'm not.
Okay. Okay. I know. Okay. If you're talking analytics, I know you have the likes of, your search engine optimization. Now there is generative optimization. So, to be able to be found around learning language models. So she might have been making reference around that. In relation to that, you need to understand with your respective company, you need to understand who are your decision makers and how do they go about getting the advice, insights, and recommendations they need with respect to solving their key issues and priorities. I work predominantly, as I said, with accounting, CFO advisory, and technology companies, which loosely fall under the umbrella of B2B professional services. And how do the buyers of those kinds of services, accounting services, strategic financial advice, technology services, how they buy is very quite distinct and different in terms of the kinds of channels that they use and what they do when they're making their decisions with respect to gaining advisory solutions, technology solutions. You really need to have an understanding of that and then build your business growth strategy around that as opposed to just developing just generic tactics.
Okay. So you emphasize client listening as a catalyst for growth. So what are practical ways a small or medium-sized enterprises can build effective listening process into their customer strategy?
So, great question. So, a very practical way that I really encourage all of my clients to gain that listen, gain understanding of the needs of their clients, both at an organizational level and decision level. Depth interviews, so interviewing, having just detailed discussions, you know, 30, 45-minute discussions with those decision makers to understand where their particular company is at, where they're looking to go, what are some of their key priorities, their challenges, what are some of their needs are, having those discussions with the decision makers that you're seeking to serve. So, to give a live example, one of my clients is an IT consulting firm in the US. I'm having him in the process now of conducting those kinds of client interviews with some of his key clients across his client base to understand where they're at, what are some of their needs are moving forward next year in terms of certain kinds of IT solutions, support levels, consulting services, what are the needs, what are the gaps. So having those discussions with your clients is very important. And then feeding it back into your organization, because it's not a matter of just having those discussions and getting the feedback. You need to share it across the organization with your product teams, with your operations, service and support, giving those insights back so they know how to act and respond and what they need to do to deliver to the needs of your clients as well as your prospects as well.
Okay. Can you share a memorable success story of yours?
A success story? Sure.
Yep.
So, one of my clients, give another example, is an accounting firm here in Sydney. So, they have about 20, 25 people. Worked with them for about 6 months last year on their growth strategy because they were working right across the board with small and medium businesses, but they wanted to start to focus in on some key industry sectors that would be of great opportunities for them domestically here in Australia. So I worked with them. I interviewed a cross section of their client base. I did 15 client interviews. I did a fair bit of industry analysis across some of their key industry sectors. Once I got an understanding of their book of business, so their portfolio of business, and looked at some key sectors that were looking at. And then from that, we developed a growth strategy for them to focus in around real estate, construction, prop tech and fintech were kind of the four key sectors that we started to build a growth strategy around how would they gain visibility, start acquiring clients, and what
Hmm.
were the kind of service offerings that they could have specifically that would be quite attractive to some of those clients in those industry sectors.
Okay. So you read a lot of books, right? So which one is your favorite?
I read a lot of books across a variety of topics. What are some of the books that I quite enjoy? Let's see here. I'll take a look here now. Well, I've been reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's kind of for my own leadership, business planning, getting my own mindset quite right. Other books that I've found that have been quite useful. I need to stretch here and just look. Buyer-centered selling by Thomas Williams. I've actually met Tom. He's really good. That is a very good book for B2B organizations. Another book is How to Get to Meeting with Anyone by Stuart Heinecke. I've also met and interviewed Stuart. That is another really good book. How to Get a Meeting with Anyone is a book that I really recommend to a lot of my clients when I'm doing my own LinkedIn lives. That's another one that comes up. So those are probably two top of mind. Another one is Strategic Don't Waste Your Time Networking by Wendy Lloyd Curley, who I've also met her as well, and I know her quite well. She has her book Don't Waste Your Time Networking, and she talks about strategic networking. Those are three books that that I've read that I find quite valuable that I've recommended to a lot of my clients, and I've done some book reviews um, about.
Okay, I will read the last one and how to get meeting with everyone. I will try
How to
that
Get a
one.
Meeting with Anyone, Stuart Heinecke. Yeah, he's got a whole series of ideas of how to cut through and how for B2B product and service providers, how to get the meetings. And those insights are quite impactful and they do work. I adopted one of his recommendations about creating a CEO report, so an insights report for my audience, which I sent out to a very special curated list and follow that up with roundtables and virtual panels. That has been a great way to crack through, get meetings, get dialogue and discussions. And I got that idea straight out of his book. So, but he's got a whole slew of creative ideas, sending gifts. Yeah, if you're very creative, he's got some very innovative ideas of how you can cut through and get the meeting.
That's great. Like, have you like read that one, The Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
The Think and Grow Rich, I've read Think and Grow Rich. It's a good book, but and it's good from a leadership perspective. It's good for mindset. So that's
Yeah.
a very useful one, and it has some good concepts about thinking, planning. The concept of the mastermind, which is becoming quite prevalent in B2B, something which I've set up my own mastermind group. So that's a very good, timeless book from a leadership perspective. But the
Okay.
others that
So,
I've recommended are very B2B specific and a bit more current. Think and Grow Rich is timeless, but these other ones are very relevant for the times, given the state of play in the world of B2B.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so, looking back when you started, what's one lesson you will tell yourself if you could restart today?
I guess I could lesson I would tell myself if I were to turn back to 2011 when I first started. You can work for yourself, but you cannot work by yourself. So you can work for yourself, but you will still need to have people to support you and help you with areas that are not necessarily your strength or areas that you don't have time to be able to devote to. So I do work for myself, but I have a marketing operations person, Anna Delaney, who's absolutely fantastic. And so she manages my email list, my social media posts, my CEO reports that I write. I put together the content, but she creates them and makes them look very professional distribution. And so she's my right hand. My company would not exist if I did not have
Hmm.
Anna. So I've been able to progress and do a lot more things and be a lot more effective
Hmm.
because it took me a few years in to realize you can't do everything. So having a team, maybe a virtual team, people that you use on an ad hoc basis, but having other people to work on some of those areas that you are either not good at and or don't have time to is quite critical.
Okay, so, for our listeners who want to connect with you or want to get help from you, where can they go?
So two places. One, LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, sharing lots of content, doing LinkedIn lives, etc. So you can find me on LinkedIn as well as going to my website, listeninnovategrow.com. So that's listeninnovategrow, all one word.com. That's my website, and there's a whole repository of content, articles, videos, my go-to-market playbooks, which were all about how for small and medium businesses how do they go about understanding their markets, their clients, their customers, their buyers, as well as how do you how do you acquire clients, retain and grow them, insights around how to create compelling solutions and offerings. So there's a whole range of topics pertaining to B2B growth, all contextualized for us as small and medium B2B service providers.
Okay, so, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Anything else I would like to say? No, other than reach out and connect if you have any questions about building and growing your B2B business, particularly if you're operating within a small or medium accounting, CFO advisory, or B2B technology company, and you're looking to enter new markets, acquire new clients, get your current clients to spend more, reach out and check out my content, reach out with me on LinkedIn. And I'm more than happy to try and help if I can.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for spending some time with us, and it was really fun chatting with you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this discussion. It's been a pleasure.